Well, and the Liberals are failures. I mean, we got Mark Carney today with was a failure of a slogan. What the heck was this? I mean, I'll just play the clip. You explain it to me because I hadn't seen this before we started filming.
Mr. Speaker, there's no I in team, but apparently there's an I in conservative. Oh, team in conservative. There's a team on these benches.
What does that even mean? What was so? What is this? A speech to the nation, and he's telling people.
No, this was before the speech to the nation. So Carney went back to the House of Commons today, and him and Poilievre had it like it was ugly. So Carney literally needed to sit down and compose himself because he was being humiliated, and that's what he did. So he steps back up. He's like, "Oh, I know what I'm going to say." And you've heard that expression, right? There's no I, like personal, like there's no I in team, right?
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to be clever. Apparently, there's no I in team, but there's an I in conservative. It's like, yeah, but there's also an I in liberal.
Liberal.
So like everybody started laughing, going like, "Where?" And then he's like, "Sit down again, buddy. Just lick your wounds and don't worry about it." But he was prepping. I mean, he went on the national stage, I guess about 2 hours ago. He did a State of the Union address. They're in trouble. Like he had his weird announcements last week. He's prepping us for a budget. The parliamentary budget officer has been doing the rounds. I'm surprised. God bless the current parliamentary budget officer, by the way. I mean, Yves Giroux, the last one, tried to raise alarm bells, couldn't.
Yep.
He went as far as he could. He's supposed to be nonpartisan. So he raised alarm bells. His term expired. So that's like people said, oh, he got fired. No, he didn't get fired. The parliamentary budget officer is appointed for a 5-year term. He's done. So right now,
that's how it should go everywhere in government. I don't know.
Yeah, another liberal failure. I mean, his term expired and they have nobody ready to replace him. They're doing a search. You'd think you'd have somebody ready, but so the parliamentary budget officer that we have right now is an interim parliamentary budget officer. God bless him, because he knows he's not in there for long. So he's raising alarm bells. He's actually doing the circuit. He's been on the news, like saying, the fall economic statement was disastrous. Next week's budget's going to be disastrous. The promises, blah blah blah. So he's doing a great job, and yeah, Carney's floundering all over the place. I mean, he went and did a public a State of the Union address today on national TV, and basically he said, "I've been in power for 8 months now, elected for 6, and I've done nothing." Okay, well, at least you're honest. Like he's done nothing.
And they've promised the budget, so this has been the laughing stock of everybody for the last while is the budget. Yeah, we promise we'll get one in November. We didn't even get one last fall, right? We've been waiting how long for a budget, and now we're coming up where we're gonna get a budget this November 4th. In fact,
yeah. And by the way, folks, like, Canada's budget cycle is April to April, like April 1st to April 1st, right? You and I, most Canadians, do January to January, but because Parliament doesn't sit for much of the summer, what's supposed to happen is in the fall. That's why that's why there's a fall economic statement. So what we should be doing right now as the parliamentarians is they should be preparing for the next budget cycle. But our budget runs from April to April. It is November. It is October 20th. The Liberals are going to deliver a budget on November 4th, which is a full 7 months after they should have delivered the budget.
It's unbelievable. So yeah, here's the website, Canada's new government to release budget 2025 on November 4th, 2025. So just before the year's over, we're going to get the budget for the year.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable. And so, of course, here comes the speculation. Here comes everybody talking about this. National Post saying government worries over potential election after Bloc Conservative budget demands. Carney government is set to table his first budget on November 4th. Blah, 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 blah. Here comes all the calls of, it's going to be an election. This is what's going to happen. What do you think? Because I'm sure if we've
been there before, right? I mean, we right now the rumors are crazy, right? So,
and that's all I think they are is rumors.
I mean, like, okay, so the way it's supposed to work is they should have presented the. Remember let's go back in October, just before Parliament got prorogued. Remember how Trudeau wanted Chrystia to publish the fall economic statement, and she's like, well, you're firing me as minister, so I'm not going to take the fall, and I'm not going to do it, right?
Yep.
The fall economic statement from last year is the piece of paper that parliamentarians are supposed to look at and start thinking about the budget, and then that leads into there should have been a budget presented to Parliament on April 1st that they should have voted on. And once they have the budget, then the budget is only a plan, by the way. The budget's only a plan. And after they have the budget, then you vote every quarter on the funds, the appropriation. So far, our House of Commons passed Bill C6 and C7, approved funds to keep government running, but they had no plan. Like you're supposed to look at a budget and say, what am I approving here? But none of that happened. So we're way behind the eight ball. And so we're getting the budget next week. What was the question you said? So
the whole speculation here is because a budget, when the budget gets passed or doesn't get passed, it's a confidence vote. So if the budget doesn't pass, we go to an election. That's the way it's framed,
well,
right?
a budget is supposed to be a confidence vote is at the discretion of the Speaker of the House and the House in general. But we, by tradition, all money matters have always been, budgets in particular, have always been confidence votes. We haven't had a budget vote since April 2023.
And that's why. It's
because we're breaking the rules.
But here's what I've been attesting, right? This is what I've been saying is the way it's going to go. And that's that the Bloc Québécois know that they'll get a whole lot of goodies if they vote along with the Liberals. If they don't vote with the Liberals and they defeat the government and it goes to an election and the Conservatives get in, they are not going to get any goodies ever again. The Conservatives are not going to give them the goodies that they want, like the Liberals are going to give them the goodies. And this is where Blanchette has come to the table, and he's talking about this. He's made demands.
He made six demands.
This is what he says.
The 6 demands that you're putting forward, is that contingent on the Bloc voting in favor of the bill? Do you have to get all 6 to get a yes vote?
You know what? Those demands from the Bloc, which are absolute conditions, have been known
absolute conditions. We've heard this before, eh? Absolute
he
conditions.
said this last year. He said this when we were talking about defeating before Trudeau prorogued. He said the same thing.
Yeah, same thing every time.
Since before the election, they always knew what we stand for. We say this is what we want. They knew it. So instead of sending ministers in the always of the parliament to cry about the fact that we do not help them, which is not our job. Our job is to help Quebecers. They should say, okay, we will consider what you ask. And I even tell them that they will say it is expensive. And I will say it is much less expensive than the money that you give year after year to the oil and gas industry.
Okay, he's just bloviating. I don't even need to listen to the rest of it. Make a bunch of demands. He's like, what is it? They want the old age pension to go up by 10%. They want a bunch of other things.
He had 4 demands last year, and he's added 2 more. And the 2 more are the ones that he wants. The 2 new demands are, he wants $871 million from Ottawa to cover the tab on the last carbon payments. So he feels he wants
Alberta to pay for this.
Yeah, he feels that, well, I wasn't able to make the last, because they have a different carbon tax system, right? They don't have a carbon tax in Quebec. They have a carbon credit system. And he's like, well, when you took away the carbon tax, you sewered my carbon credit system, and so therefore I want compensation for that. So he wants $870 million for that one. And then he wants interest-free loans for first-time home buyers in Quebec.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Liberals, they want to hang on to power. They don't care. They're happy to spend money. If the Liberals will come to a compensation deal with Quebec to get their votes. The Conservatives, maybe they'll do that, but they're less likely to do that, and that's why the Bloc is not going to give the Conservatives an opportunity to win a new election or win a majority and become the government. That's not in their interest, in my perspective.
Yeah, but the Conservatives don't face a minority vote right now. I mean, this is because we have a minority government. So the Conservatives, the Bloc is playing their cards. I don't think I don't think they'll defeat the government because, like you said, if they defeat the government, I'm pretty sure at this point that the next government would be conservative, and then the Blocs would not get their deal. In fact, I don't even think the Bloc would survive the election either. So nobody. I mean, I do believe the polls. The polls after the last time were real, and so if we went to the polls tomorrow morning, I think people will hate Carney enough already, and have been burned, and have learned their lesson quickly enough that we might actually. It'd be an interesting. What am I saying? It'd be an interesting election because Poilievre's not that popular either. I mean, like
Nope.
they're not. They're both, you know. They're both getting 40% of the popular vote because they're the only two options. It literally is that. It's not like it. I've come to that realization. We just don't have very good leaders right now anywhere in the country.
And you know what? Actually, Kevin O'Leary, he had the same sentiment. He was on a podcast just recently, and he said just that. He just said, we just need someone to have a mandate. So we need to have an election so that one of them, I don't care which one, gets to be a majority government.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have one of them have a majority mandate for the next 4 years. They need a majority mandate. So my advice to Carney is call another election. You're in a high spot right now. And this is not against Pierre. There's nothing. It's country first, not random guy first. It's country first.
Sure.
And what's great, it doesn't matter who I voted for. What matters is that we give a mandate to someone we think is competent, that has executional skills. And I think that's Carney. And give him a mandate where he doesn't have to, bow to opposition parties that may have different agenda. The agenda is Canada right now for the next 4 years. If he fails on that mandate, doesn't get capital back in the country, and I'm just one advocate for bringing it back, and believe me, all the sovereign wealth funds that used to invest 2.5% of their mandate in Canada have stopped doing that. We'll know when they feel comfortable, because it's 10 years of brain damage from the idiot king and queen. And so that's going to be very difficult to get over. But I'm not against Pierre. I'm just saying either give Pierre a majority mandate.
In the same, but in the same token, in the same podcast, he called Pierre a loser. Like
Sure,
he said,
and-
forget
and-
it. You're
and-
you lost.
and
You're a
then-
loser.
I mean, yes, I'm not in favor of a minority government. I think we're kind of stalled right now, but at the same time, I do see what the Liberals have on their agenda, and it scares the shit out of me, right? Like the Liberals are the only, like Carney talked on live TV today, and he basically said, I'm bringing down immigration rates. He followed it up by a whole bunch of bullshit, but he did mention a few good points. He passed a vote last week. Sure, he voted against the Conservatives' bill on tougher bail, and then he passed it himself. So, but behind the scenes, he still had, if you look at Bill C9 and C10 and C2, there's some bad shit that the Liberals are trying to pass. So
Yeah, you want them to have a mandate?
no, I don't want them to have a mandate. I want the government, I want them to collaborate with each other instead. Show me that you can collaborate. And right now, I don't see anything like
I don't
that.
like collaborations that are taking place in this government, because what did we get with the collaborations? We got Bill S202, which is codifying into law that the dairy lobby can't be negotiated out of existence when it comes to trade deals. So that monopoly is going to exist forever until that bill is repealed. They have Bill C5, which is codifying central authority in Canada. So it's taking away autonomy from the provinces. This is gross. And the Conservatives, when they get along with the Liberals, we get bigger government. We get more government. So
Yeah.
either way, it's just like it's the slow burn or the fast burn. Which are we gonna get?
But yeah, we got the fact that we have so many things to talk about this week, it proves what we said last week. It is getting very interesting. We have September, October, November, my friend, are going to be interesting. The budget's going to be interesting. I mean, and by the way, just a reminder to everybody listening too, everything that's been mentioned by the Liberals in the last month, like, oh, we're going to hire 1,000 more CBSA agents, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, none of that is happening. These are all promises. Like, we're going to create a new office to do this. Nope, you got no money to do that. You can appoint so-and-so, but these things are all promises that have to come out of the budget. And right now, the budget is like out of control spending. And as it stands, it'll yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more clips like that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The link is right here. If you want to see it live as it happens, make sure you're subscribed to the Clyde Do Something YouTube channel. The link is right there. We'll see you in the next one.